Deadly conflict between Israel and Iran is in its fourth day.
Both sides are intensifying their attacks and the death tolls are rising. Joining us now, Benjamin Radd, professor of political science and global studies at UCLA. Welcome back to the show and thank you for being with us.
Good morning.
Good morning. Well, despite international calls for de-escalation, we're seeing exactly the opposite. The latest, Iran hit an Israeli oil refinery and damaged part of the power grid there. So we're wondering, how much can Israel tolerate Iran's retaliation?
Yeah, and what you're seeing now is the next stage in Israel's attack process, which is going after Iran's energy structure and its economic source of strength, which is its oil and gas industry. So the idea here is that, neither side is showing a willingness to back down. It's dragging on to what will be a war of attrition, at least for the days to come, if not weeks. And so the goal here is basically to hit the pain points, which for Iran, again, is its economic power base. And for Israel, it's its civilian infrastructure, which seems to be what Iran is directly or indirectly targeting.
What in your mind could end up happening if an American citizen were killed in Tel Aviv or elsewhere within the country?
Well, this is an interesting question because we know that the Israelis have asked for the United States to intervene and to assist with taking out Iran's more fortified nuclear facilities, which is something that only the Americans have the weapons capability to do. And maybe it would be the unfortunate incident of an American getting killed or in this. I mean, even an American citizen in Iran, for that matter, which is possible. But the idea being that something that would justify bringing the United States into this conflict more directly, from the Israeli perspective, would help bring an end to this phase of their attack. But again, it could escalate to a broader conflict if the United States does mobilize at a next level.
Yeah, let's talk about the hopes for this being resolved diplomatically. I mean, they don't seem to be nearing an end to the fighting. Talks that were supposed to happen this weekend and continue negotiations didn't happen. Do you think there's even still any slight chance that they'll settle this in a more peaceful way?
Well, what's interesting is that you have the G7 summit and you have the Iranian foreign minister indicating that Iran is very much still open to negotiations. They do want to meet. What they're waiting for is an end to the fighting. A sort of a ceasefire or moment of truce, if you will. And then what the Iranians are willing to do and have been willing to do is to suspend any development of any weaponization program, which is their position. It's been their position all along that they're not creating weapons. But there's a lot of mistrust cast on that, not just by the Israelis, but also by the IAEA. And so, however, what Israel wants is a full dismantling of all of Iran's nuclear program, not just the weapons, but the civilian energy part of it as well, which is a non-starter for Iran. So to answer your question, diplomacy is possible, but the issue remains that they want two different things at the end.
I heard overnight, too, a lot of Israelis calling for the U.S. to get involved in this situation now. How likely do you think that is? Some of the people I heard said that it's necessary for us to get involved at this point.
Well, President Trump campaigned on no more foreign wars, especially no more entanglements in the Middle East. The question is there a way for the United States to get involved in a very limited, targeted way, such as one specific site that Israel cannot seem to penetrate, and have it be it, like that's it, and it walks away from that without getting into a broader conflict? This is very difficult to navigate, and the Republican Party is split on this. We've seen those who favor a more aggressive, hawkish approach toward really putting an end to Iran's nuclear program completely, and then others who simply see this as straying away from, the MAGA promise to not get involved in these things. So it remains to be seen which path President Trump will choose, but he's definitely been given a range of perspectives on this.
And before we let you go, what is this going to do for gas prices?
Yeah, and given that a large chunk of the world's oil trade goes through the Straits of Hormuz, which is coming out of the Persian Gulf, and so we can absolutely expect to see a spike in the price of oil initially. The question is if exports are interrupted, whether or not the Saudis or other oil producers will step up to help stabilize. And that remains to be seen how they're going to deal with this. But it looks like everybody, all the major OPEC players and those big oil producers want to see calm in the oil market. So I can imagine that they'll take steps to help regulate prices.
If you look at the markets today, too, it looks like there's been somewhat of a pause in the escalation of those prices. So thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.